What's going on? Welcome to the training. Tony back here with you today. All right, so what are we doing? We are basically color sanding and buffing, okay? And this step doesn't need to be done. Single stage acrylic enamel paint jobs normally come out pretty glossy, but if you feel like you have orange peel or a little bit more paint texture than you think you wanted, then you could buff it out. And with this paint job, I personally felt that I didn't have to buff it, but I wanted to give you an example and show you how to buff it. That's the only reason why we're doing it in this training series. So if you just take a look here, we are using a 1000 grit on a DA. Okay, we're using an inner surface pad, which is like a foam pad in between that's a little softer. Okay, it gives you, it's called an inner surface pad. Okay, there's a few different variations and I guess thicknesses that you can choose from, and also softness that you can choose from. Something very hard or not too hard, or very soft. So we're using like a middle grade version. I'm using a product from Kovacs. I don't know the exact number at this moment, but don't worry about that. So what are we doing? We're sanding down with 1000 grit. If you feel uncomfortable of using a DA, I highly recommend just to water sand it with your hand. Get a soft block and just water sand it. Okay, you can start with 1200 grit and then get down to 2000 grit to 2500 grit. If you're using, well, if you're going to be buffing over a dark color, like a dark gray, dark reds, you know, dark purples and black, you want to go to 3000 grit. Okay, we're only going to be doing the highlight areas here as an example. I mean, you can see how glossy this thing is. The door I didn't even buff out. It looks like glass, right? So we're just kind of using 1000 grit to cut it quickly, and then we're going to wash it down with 2000 grit. All right. Again, if you're a newbie at using the DA, I would highly recommend going by hand, because it's sometimes if you're in one spot too long, you can really cut through very quickly. Okay. But right here, I'm just washing it down using 1000 grit, and then we're going to go ahead and switch to 2000 grit wet sand, and just wet sand it really good. Okay, if you feel like it's gonna take a while for you to go from 1000 to 2000, I would put 15 in between. You know, so go over it with 15 and then go to 2000. But I just went straight from 1000 to 2000. So I was kind of water sanding at 2000 a little longer than I should have been, because you know, you're transitioning from 1000 grit scratch marks to 2000 grit. Takes a little longer. Okay, so if I had a 15 in between and then went to 2000, it would have been a lot quicker. Okay, but I'm buffing straight over 2000 grit on this light color here, and yeah, it's not too bad. So I'm gonna go ahead and do some commentary on the beginning sections of each major section. So like right here, I would be commentating, but we just went all the way through. So here I got 2000 grit, okay, and I'm just gonna wash the car down with 2000 grit here. Probably take me about 2 hours or so to go around the car, give or take. Take my time, and I'm also doing the headlights because Tony clear coated them for me, and we had some runs at the bottom here, so I quickly cut it down with the DA with 1000 grit, and then now I'm just washing it down with 2000 grit with my hand, and then we're gonna buff everything out. You know, the headlights, the bumper, everything. Okay, 2000 grit. Okay, so normally when cutting and buffing, I like to use the wool pad. I was just testing out the foam pad here. Um, and it's a two-step process. Okay, so when color sanding and buffing, you got your cutting compound, which is called rubbing compound, and then you got your glaze, okay, your polish, which is the two-step. Okay, so first the goal is to get, you know, your sanded and dull looking everything, right? Paint, headlights, whatever you're buffing out, and use a cutting compound. Another word for that is rubbing compound. Okay, it has a little grain. It's a little grainier. The newer ones nowadays actually feel pretty smooth. They're not as grainy as the older types. Okay, and then you want to get that to a high gloss. It will buff out to a high gloss. Okay, once that's achieved, then you use your machine glaze, step 2 of the perfected system, and get it, you know, get all the swirl marks out and get it really to an extremely brilliant gloss. All right, so the 3M rubbing compound that I'm using now is a 06085 part number. Okay, and then after that we use the 06064 glaze with a foam pad. So I was testing out the foam pad with the rubbing compound, and some people use it. You know, some people use foam pad for everything. I don't like to, actually. I don't think the foam pad cuts as well as the wool pad, especially on the rubbing compound step 1 stage. Okay, and if you're not careful with the foam pad, you can easily burn paint very quickly. Okay, so you got to be careful. I think with the glaze, a foam is a lot better because you're not buffing to get that high gloss. It's already glossy. You're just sealing and polishing up your buffed product. Okay, so you're not going to be in one section for a long time with your foam, you know, with your foam pad step 2, as you would be on your step 1 process buffing. Okay, because with step 1, you're going to be going over the same area over and over, like a 1 foot by 2 foot section. It might take you 10 minutes. You know, maybe not 10 minutes, but around 10 minutes to get it really glossy. And you're going to go section by section by section. You know, you're going to apply the compound, you're going to buff. It's not going to look that glossy. Then you're going to apply more compound, you're going to buff. So you can see how nicely that headlight came out. Here's another trick to clean out your buffing pad, and I show this in my other videos. You just, you know, turn it on high speed, and then you use your screwdriver to dust it out. Okay, they have the wheels for it. You know, the spurs, so it looks like a spur that goes on your boot to clean out the pads. But, you know, if you want to spend money and get it, I never got one. I always just use a screwdriver. Okay, so you can see the white compound that we're using with the wool pad step 1. We're just getting everything to a high gloss. You want to keep it moving at about 17 to 18 to 1900 RPM at this stage. Okay, that's kind of where you want to be as far as your RPMs. You know, and just be careful around corners and sections and all that, because you could get hung up on a mirror. You could, you know, snag a wiper. So just make sure, you know, you take your time with this. And again, you know, I should have done this earlier, like right after paint, you know, a few days after paint, but I had to drive the car, you know, so a lot of people ask me, hey, can I be working on a car while, you know, paint the car while I'm working on it? Like, yeah, sometimes you have to, you know, you have to work on a car while, you know, you have to use your car while you're working on it. So for me, some of the steps here were not in order, you know, as I was working on it, because I had to take the car places, I had to use it, because, yeah, we just moved back, and this is the only car I really had at the moment. So right now we're actually selling it. By the time you're watching this, it might be even sold. But this is the process. Keep watching. If you get a little bored, just speed it up. I just want to kind of give you a bird's eye, you know, over the shoulder view of buffing. It takes time. Buffing does take time. Some people say, hey, you know, I buffed and it doesn't look glossy. Well, you didn't buff enough. You got to keep buffing, okay, until it gets that gloss look. And again, this is step 1, rubbing compound with the wool pad. It's supposed to get glossy. Another thing you could do is just buff out your taillights. Okay, sometimes you don't have to even sand your taillights or headlights if they're not that grimy and dingy. Usually if they get that yellow dinge to it, then I would recommend sanding it down with 2000 grit quickly to wash it, and then you could buff it. These here, I believe I washed it down with 2000 grit, and then we're just buffing it with the buffing compound. Okay, same step. You buff it, you're going to see it get really glossy, and then you go over it with the glaze just to seal it up, and then they last for a very long time. Okay, so I said, hey, I might as well do my tail lights while I'm buffing the car anyway, make it look good, and this is how you do it. Here we go. So we are using the glaze. Now it has a little like a grayish tint to this, you can see. Okay, it's not white. Okay, so this is the 06064 3M Perfected System Glaze Step 2. Okay, I have it in text right there, and you can see that I'm using a black foam pad. Okay, and you want to use the black pad with this. It's the finest, and it will help you get this product on and get a very, very high gloss. Okay, so I'm just rubbing it on. You don't have to spend as much time either. You just go over it until it just disappears and turns into a high gloss. It's a polish. Okay, and then once this is done, you can go ahead and go over it with your spray wax if you want to wax it. Okay, which I recommend. But again, don't seal and wax your car until about 3 to 4 weeks after your paint job. Okay, you could do all of this. And if you can keep your garage, your paint job in the garage for a few weeks, that's great, because you know, you get bird poop on here, you haven't really sealed it yet. You know, you could use a ceramic sealer after this, or a good spray wax. Okay, it's all up to you. So we're just using this the second step here. You can see it glossing up. It's gonna look good. Once we're done with this, we're pretty much done. We're going to wash the car down quickly, clean the windows up, and actually put our decals on. Okay, so if you're putting decals on, you could put decals over this polish glaze, but you don't want to do it after waxing. Okay, because the wax is just going to make the adhesion a little tough. You know, it's not gonna adhere as good because you got wax on it, right? So what I'm doing here is quickly using my clay bar and just taking off some of the overspray. So when I did the Raptor liner on the bottom third of this truck here, I didn't mask up the roof and top of the car. So I did have a little bit of overspray on it, you know, just from it floating around the garage. So I'm just kind of cleaning the truck up really quickly before putting my decals on. So all the buffing's done, the car's done. We're just kind of cleaning it down. And then we're going to put our decals on. So that's the step here. And as far as the clay bar, I got mine at Zula.com. It's a $10 bar of clay bar. And as far as the solution, what am I using? A lot of detail companies like to sell you a solution. You don't need to go buying a special solution for using a clay bar. I use maybe a teaspoon of dish soap in about a gallon of water. Okay, that's all you need. You just mix it up with hand. You could just sprinkle it on with a sponge like I have here, and then just wash it off. You know, just go over it with your clay bar. Clay bar will literally take all the grime off. Overspray, and I'm just hitting the roof here a little bit. Had a little overspray on the roof, and that's pretty much it. So here we go, decal time. So what did I do? I basically went to ebay.com and I looked at vinyl graphics, okay? And then I looked at the Ford Raptor. I was like, hey, I can use that. So we basically ordered the Ford F-150 Raptor decal kit. It was like $58 and change, very affordable. And I just sliced it and pieced it. I was like, hey, maybe we can use this section for the front part, this section for the back. And we just custom installed it. You know, we didn't put it on like it would go on a Ford Raptor truck. We just said, hey, this splatter part we can use for the front. This part let's put on the back, and that's exactly what we did. And I think it came out okay. Came out pretty good, you know. And the quality wasn't. I mean, look at all the wrinkles in it. Okay, they didn't really give me the greatest piece of vinyl. So if it was you, you might want to complain. For me, I was just, hey, let's just get it on. I tried my best. We had some air bubbles in it, but that's nothing that my daughter couldn't fix. She goes around with a little needle, kind of punctures a hole in it, and then pushes it down. That's her job. It's super easy to do. The other way is to do a water transfer, is to just spray a water solution behind here, but I thought it would have just been so much harder because it would have been slipping and sliding all over. Especially when trying to get it to where I wanted here, coming out of the fender, out of the Raptor line, you know. So I wanted the splatter to kind of come out of the side Raptor liner area around the fenders, and it would have been tough if everything was wet. So I said, let's just put it on dry and do our best to take the air bubbles out. So I mean, it came out pretty good. Came out pretty good. You know, we had some air bubbles. Again, I said I had Maya go around with a needle. She just poked the air bubbles and just pushed it down with her finger, and they all disappear. It just takes a little bit of time. Okay. So yeah, let's go ahead and finish up these decals. It came out pretty cool. So you could see that I kind of missed it a little bit. We have a little beige sticking out on the corner there. So all I did was shoot a little bit of my plasti dip, you know, the rubber plasti dip in a can, in a cap. I got a little brush and I just touched that section up. You couldn't even tell. And I forgot to get that, you know, on video, on camera, but that's all I did, to touch that little spot up there. And we did have a little, you know, other spots around the car. So basically I just shot a cap full of, you know, not even a cap full, just a squirt of plasti dip in the cap. Got a little touch-up brush and then just dabbed it, and then it was all good. So here we're doing the back section. Came out pretty good. Few air pockets and air bubbles you can see there, but again, I had my daughter go over it and just push them out. So here we just added some. We're like, all right, let's put some here. So both sides are not identical. I mean, hey, you can't see both sides at once. Plus, I feel that it gives it like a more natural look, you know, with kind of different on both sides, a little different. You know, we matched it, but it's not like 100% exact. You know what I mean? But it came out really cool, I think. So hope you're enjoying this, and keep watching for the final product. I'm telling you, everywhere we go with this CRV now, like, we're getting so many looks. Everybody's like, that's a cool CRV, you know, like, whoa, that thing is awesome. Especially with the Jurassic Park theme, Learn Auto Body and Paint VIP, you know, that just puts it over the top. But everybody likes the color, you know, the black and tan theme, the quicksand, the Toyota quicksand. That's the color code, by the way. People love it. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the series here. If you're a brand new VIP member, again, check out some of the starter courses in the beginning, especially the Blue RAV4 series. It's an old paint job, but that really takes you through A to Z. There's a ton of other projects in the course that you can learn from. Here, we're just doing our final installation of the LABAP VIP decal. We're just laying it on here, eyeballing it. It came out excellent. Thank you to Atom X spray guns. They are awesome, amazing. They're the only spray guns we spray with right now. Super affordable, great quality, great atomization, great spraying spray gun. So if you guys are looking for a second gun, a first gun, a third gun, whatever, I highly encourage you to check out the Atom X27 and the X88. Those are very, very good spray guns. The X20 is more of a primer gun, and it's a good DIY all-around gun, but if you're looking for a good primer gun, that's a good primer gun. And also getting a 2.0, a 1.8 to a 2.0 tip kit for that will really put that filler primer on really nice for you. So check it out. It's looking great. Yeah, another shout out to the Gun Bud Ultra lighting system. Cool little light. We used it painting this car in my friend's dark garage. He only had one fluorescent up on top, so man, it was great to have the Gun Bud help me out on this project as well. And it came out really nice for a single stage enamel paint job. you know, people around the body shops are asking me, hey, that's a nice paint job. And when I told them it was a single stage, they were like, what, really? That's single stage? I'm like, yeah, man. They're like, whoa, it came out nice. I was like, yeah, man, thank you, thank you. So, yeah, so that's pretty much it. Thanks for watching the series. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned a lot. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.